Marvel fans, this one's crazy. We need to talk about a bunch of new reports about the end of the Multiverse Saga. There's a possibility of the Blade movie actually being a multiverse or battle world film. There are conflicting reports about Doctor Strange 3 and how the story with Stephen Strange and Doctor Doom will tie into Doomsday and Secret Wars. And we even have the possibility of 2 more shows being added to the schedule for the end of the Multiverse Saga. This all has to do with what Marvel is doing right now, because it really does seem like they're trying to rush to the end of the Multiverse Saga and then set up stuff for the saga after that, which is rumored to be the Mutant Saga. Let's actually start with the Doctor Strange news. So just last week, Daniel RPK was talking about how the Doctor Strange movie is very likely to be pushed until after the end of the Multiverse Saga, which is particularly crazy because many people, including myself, thought Doctor Strange 3 would be either one of the Battleworld movies, which takes place in between Doomsday and Secret Wars, or it would end up being streamlined and actually come out before Doomsday. So Daniel is saying that movie is being pushed, but if you really look at what he is saying that he believes it will be pushed unless some kind of miracle happens and they streamline that thing immediately into production. But hold on, because now we got to look at this report from Alex Perez that's kind of in conflict with what Daniel said. So this is Alex responding to somebody saying, what about Daniel saying Doctor Strange 3 won't happen in the Multiverse Saga? And Alex says the main premise I reported in the Time Runs Out article is still happening according to my sources. Whether or not it is explored in his solo film or as a side story in Doomsday, that remains to be seen. And then he says, at the time when I reported it, Kang Dynasty was still the name of Avengers 5. And then he adds, in my own personal opinion, as I said in the article, the story they want to tell with Strange is too big for it to be a side story in Doomsday. There is not enough time to condense everything they want to do in that film, hence why Doctor Strange 3 should be a priority. You'll recall that what Alex is talking about is connections between Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, and a lot of the stuff that was set up in the Jonathan Hickman Time Runs Out event, which immediately preceded Secret Wars. This all had to do with the character of Stephen Strange going out on his own to try to stop the collapse of the multiverse. This takes him to becoming the leader of the Black Priest and assaulting a place known as the Library of Worlds. Except that when he goes to the Library of Worlds, it ends up being an ambush, and the Black Swans and Rabum Al-Lal destroy all of the Black Priests except for Stephen Strange. That's when Doctor Strange finds out that Rabum Al-Lal, the Great Destroyer, who had been looming over comics for years as a major player in what was known as the Game of Worlds, that guy was revealed to be Doctor Doom. And this is where Doctor Doom and Stephen Strange kind of actually work together to stop the Beyonders and then to create Battleworld together. And so Alex has heard from his sources that was going to be very important to the plot of this film. And it was still a big deal even recently when Alex reached out to his source. But obviously a lot has been changing. So I'm just reporting to you guys that 2 of the best scoopers in the game are actually having conflicting reports right now about what's going on with Doctor Strange 3. If Daniel is right, it likely means that the Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom storyline will be woven into the Doomsday plot, which I could absolutely see happening because Doom and Strange could be kind of doing their own thing, and then the Earthbound Avengers and everybody in the MCU 616 would likely be dealing with maybe Thanos, maybe the Cabal, or Doom's Illuminati, or whatever he's going to call the group of villains that he's rumored to be assembling. And we know right now the script for Doomsday is being written. They are hard at work cracking that script right now, and so they're probably having discussions about whether or not they want to include that storyline in that film or produce Doctor Strange 3. But if Alex is right, then Doctor Strange 3 will happen, and maybe even happen before Doomsday to set up that story, which we'll see in that next Avengers film. And the only thing I will say here is I am leaning towards Alex on this one. Number one, because Alex has a better track record than Daniel, just period. But also because we've gotten crazy reports from Jeff Snyder within the last couple of weeks that Sam Raimi is being eyed as the director of Doctor Strange 3. It is absolutely possible that Marvel Studios gets Doctor Strange 3 together and shoots it immediately, maybe even shooting it alongside Doomsday and hustling out that post-production to get it out before Doomsday. And mainly, guys, I'm just trying to keep you up to date with the latest about this. We will probably find out soon. Either way this goes, I think we'll know soon. But for now, that's the information that is out there. Now, let's talk about the shows. We already know there's a whole bunch of shows coming out in 2025. I gotta be honest with you, not super thrilled that we're getting all that volume of shows after Marvel Studios said they wanted to pull back on that sort of stuff. But I think the reality is a lot of these projects were conceived during the Phase 4 early days when Marvel Studios thought they could get away with anything, they could create anything, and the fans would show up for it. And Marvel has learned that that's not actually the case. But they also appear to be unwilling to cancel a lot of these projects. So they're just loading them all into 2025, making it seem like when we get to 2026, we will finally have it actually slowed down and possibly even get better shows moving forward from Marvel Studios. So here's a report from Daniel talking about all the shows that are still coming out during the Multiverse Saga, but there are 2 more shows, including a Wiccan show and Hawkeye Season 2, which could possibly make it into the Multiverse Saga, depending on how their production works out. And you might be like, how? What is going on here? Like, how could it be the case that Hawkeye Season 2 would go into production, work out in the Multiverse Saga, and how could the Wiccan show work out in the Multiverse Saga? Well, I think the answer is kind of like right in front of us. We've been talking about it for a while, but if you look at the Spider-Man 4 rumors, it seems like we're just creating a new version of 616 in Doomsday. Maybe we'd get a more traditional battle world out in the cosmos or potentially created during the Secret Wars film itself. But the reality is it seems like Doomsday will not end with like a total reboot of the universe, putting us on a battle world thing where there's tons of characters and things are crazy. That might be done intentionally to allow a lot of projects to kind of just exist in the current 616. And if the connections within these shows is kept super vague and they just are on 616, they can technically still be plugged in to the years between Doomsday and Secret Wars. Now, as far as what these shows could actually be, the Wiccan show is probably just about Wiccan finding Tommy and maybe getting more powerful, potentially setting up a thread where they all then go looking for their mother, Wanda, the Scarlet Witch. And we actually have established rumors of what would happen in Hawkeye Season 2. This is one they definitely want to make, especially after Jeremy Renner's accident and recovery, because his celebrity has just went through the roof. I mean, that story was incredible. He was a real life hero, and a lot of people just love Jeremy Renner. They want to see more Hawkeye. And the rumors on that are that it's supposed to be kind of like a raid type story, a single building that they'll kind of work through trying to stop some evil from happening, which might be perpetuated by Hawkeye's brother Barney, who's an absolute psychopath in the comics. And I believe Haley Steinfeld would still show up in this show, and I expect it to actually be a lot better than Hawkeye Season 1. Hawkeye is just one of those Marvel shows that's just fine. It's fine. The ending gets crazy. The finale was super stupid, but that's like a lot of Marvel shows. But this was all old Marvel, right? Part of the reason why I'm not pumped about 2025 is you got a lot of shows that are still old Marvel, Phase 4 Marvel. But Hawkeye Season 2 might have an actual showrunner. It might have an actual super well-written plot that's focusing on Hawkeye and not trying to introduce a million other characters. And so consider me hyped up for a potential Hawkeye Season 2. And it would be kind of cool if it was set during the Multiverse Saga and perhaps even ending in a way that takes Hawkeye to then go fight against Doctor Doom and all the Dark Avengers, evil Doom's Illuminati, like the evil version of the Avengers. I don't know. Could be cool. And finally, we got to talk about Blade. Now, this one is absolutely nuts. I don't know what to expect here. Of course, there's been so much drama about Blade recently, but we did talk last week about how Daniel was still reporting this movie's gonna shoot next year. Like, they're actually happier than ever. And the report that dropped in the Hollywood trades about it being dropped off of the schedule is an old report. That report might be 6 months old. Marvel might actually still have a plan for Blade. And so both Daniel and Jeff Snyder have been reporting that Mahershala Ali is happy with the Blade script, and they're super close to finding a director. And also, Daniel has reported that they're streamlining the Midnight Suns, and that's probably another thing that they're going to get to Mahershala Ali. And check this out here. This is Alex Perez responding to a question that is the stuff about Blade finally having a script and everyone liked true? Both Daniel and Jeff Snyder have been saying that they're close to finding a director and that Ali is happy with the script. Alex responds, yes, and I misspoke when I said that Blade may have been kept off until the Multiverse Saga. The issue mainly stems from Marvel having kept Blade off their internal schedule long before the trades even announced it. But to my understanding, the film has the highest priority for release given the amount of time it's been in development. It's a matter of getting the story right, and it may seem ridiculous to some, but yes, it is difficult to set this story up since it sets up so much. The idea is for Blade to have a development similar to Doctor Strange when he was introduced to the MCU, establish him as a character and his corner of the universe in the previous saga, so that the corner, in this case the supernatural, is explored heavily in the next saga. And so Blade might actually come out during the Multiverse Saga? That's nuts, right? And so I've been thinking about this. Like, could this involve something multiversal? Could this be hardcore Battleworld with like Wesley Snipes' Blade hanging out with Mahershala Ali's Blade or something like that? And I would say that's possible, but it's also possible they go like the Hawkeye season 2 route, where it's just set in the new MCU and Blade is fighting vampires and trying to prevent some crazy occult or dark supernatural stuff from happening, but it's just set in a regular universe. That is actually seeming to be Marvel's way of getting around of a lot of these scheduling problems. However, I still think there's something going on with Doctor Doom potentially using celestial technology and deep, dark magic to attain godhood or to reset the universe or something like that. Might even have something to do with Wanda Maximoff, which would be pretty crazy. And I've also been thinking that just in general, after Doctor Doom does all this crazy stuff, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be like really paying attention to magic. After they figure out what magic can do, because Doom's going to go crazy with it, I believe the supernatural side is going to be like very dangerous, something that's really going to have its own franchise and team to watch over, and that would end up being the Midnight Suns. So is Blade going to have something to do with discovering about celestial technology and magic? Because remember, he pops up at the end of the Eternals movie when Dane Whitman is getting the Ebony Blade. And I also think that because we are rumored in the Mutant Saga to deal with Celestials yet again, and Judgment Day and Deviants and X-Gene and all that sort of stuff, just think there's a potential here for Blade and supernatural stuff with vampires to end up dealing with big, crazy cosmic ideas like the Celestials or deep, deep magic, the magic that comes from Chthon. That's really important because people just thought Blade was going through disaster after disaster. It was maybe never going to come out or probably being pushed until after the Multiverse Saga. I thought that too. It appears that's not the case. This thing might come out before Secret Wars. So there you go, guys. Lots of crazy updates about Marvel. Right now, things are majorly in flux, but as always, we're going to try to follow all the news, rumors, leaks, scoops, and keep you up to date. Would love to know what you think about it, so let me know in the comment section below. And as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.